First contact and invasion. The skies above Earth darkened as the massive Krell-Vor fleet emerged from hyperspace, their obsidian vessels blotting out the stars like an eclipse of doom. Commander Elena Reyes stood on the observation deck of Orbital Defense Station Aegis, her breath catching as the sensors revealed the true scale of the Armada. Thousands of ships, each bristling with weapons beyond human understanding, arranged in perfect formation, a testament to their technological superiority and military discipline. "Status report," she demanded, her voice steady despite the dread coursing through her veins. Lieutenant Jackson's fingers flew across the holographic interface. 53 capital ships, Commander. Over 2,000 support craft. Energy signatures unlike anything we've ever recorded. They're not even trying to hide their approach. Why would they? Dr. Abrams muttered from his station, the xenobiologist's eyes wide with a mixture of terror and fascination. They don't view us as a threat. Elena's jaw tightened. The Unified Earth Defense Force had prepared for first contact scenarios for decades, but nothing on this scale. The UEDF fleet, a mere 100 ships spread thin across Earth's defensive perimeter, would be obliterated within minutes if hostilities began. "Open all channels," she ordered. "Standard first contact protocols." "Commander," Communications Officer Chen interrupted, her face pale. "We're receiving a transmission. System-wide." The command center fell silent as the alien message played through the speakers. The translation matrix struggled to convert the harsh, clicking language, but the meaning was unmistakable. Surrender or face extinction. The Krell-Vor demanded Earth's complete capitulation within one planetary rotation. "They're scanning our defenses," Tactical Officer Ramirez reported, his voice tight. "Cataloging military installations, power grids, population centers." Elena's mind raced. Standard protocols were useless here. This wasn't first contact. It was an invasion force, methodically preparing for conquest. "Alert all UEDF commands, evacuation protocols for all major cities, and get me the Security Council. Now." The next hours passed in a blur of frantic preparations. Across the globe, military forces mobilized while civilians streamed into shelters. The Security Council's emergency session reached the only conclusion possible. Humanity would not surrender. If extinction awaited, they would face it on their feet. Elena watched the countdown timer with grim determination. When it reached 0, the Krell-Vor response was immediate and devastating. The first attack targeted military installations, precision strikes that crippled Earth's orbital defenses. Aegis Station shuddered under the assault, emergency systems blaring as sections decompressed. Elena ordered the evacuation, remaining behind with a skeleton crew to coordinate what resistance they could. "New Delhi is gone," Jackson reported, his voice hollow. "Moscow under heavy bombardment. Beijing's defense is holding, but not for long." The tactical display told the story. Humanity outmatched, outgunned, fighting a desperate holding action against an enemy whose technology made their best weapons seem primitive by comparison. But even as cities burned and defense grids collapsed, something unexpected happened. The Krell-Vor advance slowed. Their perfect formations began showing gaps. Their devastating weaponry became less precise. "What's happening?" Elena demanded, staring at the tactical display where alien ships were regrouping, some even retreating from engagement. Dr. Abrams hunched over his station, analyzing incoming data. "It's their systems. They're experiencing cascading failures, but I don't understand why." The answer came from an unlikely source. Dr. Miyazaki, a virologist who had been studying alien biological samples from the debris, burst into the command center. "It's our environment," she exclaimed, brandishing her tablet. "Earth's microbiome, our bacteria, our viruses, even our electromagnetic field. They're all having unforeseen effects on Krell-Vor biotech. Their ships aren't just machines. They're partly biological, integrated with their crews on a cellular level." Elena stared at the data streaming across Miyazaki's tablet. "They're getting sick." Not exactly, the scientist replied. More like their systems are experiencing allergic reactions, severe ones. Their technology relies on biological components that evolved in completely different conditions. Our environment is hostile to them in ways they never anticipated. Hope, fragile but real, flared in Alina's chest. Can we weaponize this? Miyazaki exchanged glances with Abrams. Theoretically, their ship's hulls are semi-permeable, designed to absorb certain wavelengths of radiation. If we could disperse the right combination of microorganisms into the atmosphere, a biological countermeasure, Alina murmured. It wasn't a weapon in the traditional sense, just Earth's natural defenses amplified and targeted. Not an attack, a planetary immune response. The plan came together in feverish hours. Around the world, scientists worked to isolate the microorganisms that had the most disruptive effect on Krell-Vor systems. Engineers modified weather control satellites to disperse these agents into the upper atmosphere. It was desperate, improvised, and their only hope. As the remnants of Earth's military continued their holding action, drawing Krell-Vor forces into Earth's lower atmosphere, Alina watched the deployment countdown. This is either our salvation or the last act of a doomed species, she said quietly. Jackson looked up from his station. Either way, we go down fighting. The deployment began, invisible particles releasing into the atmosphere, carried on wind currents toward the alien fleet. For agonizing hours, nothing seemed to change. The Krell-Vor continued their methodical destruction, city by city, defense by defense. Then, almost imperceptibly at first, their assault patterns began to falter. Energy fluctuations in the Krell-Vor fleet, Ramirez reported, disbelief in his voice. Their targeting systems are degrading. Shield harmonics destabilizing. Through Aegis Station's viewports, Alina watched as the massive alien vessels began to list in orbit, their once perfect formations dissolving into chaos. Some ships attempted to retreat to higher orbits, away from Earth's contaminating influence, but the damage was spreading through their fleet like wildfire. It's working, Dr. Abrams whispered. The microbiome countermeasure is disrupting their biological systems faster than they can adapt. But victory was far from assured. Even in disarray, the Krell-Vor remained deadly. Their flagship, a colossal vessel that dwarfed anything humanity had ever built, adjusted course, not away from Earth, but directly toward it. They're on a collision course with the North American continent, Ramirez reported. Impact in 27 minutes. Projected casualties. Total. Alina's blood ran cold. The Krell-Vor meant to take humanity with them. A final act of spite from a defeated invader. All remaining orbital defenses. Target that flagship, she ordered. Everything we've got. Earth's battered defenses responded, missiles and energy weapons converging on the descending behemoth. But its mass was too great, its momentum unstoppable. As the massive alien vessel breached the atmosphere, trailing fire across the sky, Alina closed her eyes. They had fought. They had shown the galaxy that humanity would not go quietly. Perhaps that would have to be enough. The command center fell silent, all eyes fixed on the tactical display as the Krell-Vor flagship plummeted toward Earth. The unexpected resistance. When the Krell-Vor flagship entered Earth's atmosphere, its hull already compromised by the microbial assault, something remarkable happened. The ship's biotech systems, designed to self-repair, began instead to dissolve from within. The massive vessel fractured, breaking apart into countless pieces that scattered across the Pacific Ocean. A catastrophe transformed into a miracle of timing and environmental chemistry. In the debris field that now orbited Earth, the remaining Krell-Vor ships struggled against an invisible enemy they could neither combat nor comprehend. Their perfect war machine, built to conquer countless worlds, had been undone not by humanity's weapons, but by the very ecosystem of Earth itself, an unpredictable defense that no strategy could have anticipated. They're retreating, Lieutenant Jackson announced, disbelief evident in his voice as the tactical display showed alien vessels limping away from Earth's orbit. All remaining Krell-Vor ships are breaking formation and jumping to hyperspace. Commander Elena Reyes stared at the display, barely able to process what she was seeing. After hours of certain doom, the prospect of survival seemed almost incomprehensible. "Confirm that," she ordered, her voice hoarse from hours of issuing commands. "I want verification from every remaining sensor platform." "Confirmed, Commander," Tactical Officer Ramirez replied. "We're tracking multiple hyperspace signatures. The Krell-Vor fleet is withdrawing." The command center erupted in tentative cheers, but Elena remained focused. Status of Earth's defenses. The report was grim. 80% of orbital installations destroyed. Major cities in ruins. Millions dead or injured. But Earth still stood, and humanity with it. "Get me a secure channel to all remaining UEDF outposts," Elena ordered. "We need to coordinate recovery operations immediately." As the initial shock of survival gave way to the monumental task of rebuilding, a new discovery emerged from the research teams analyzing Krell-Vor debris. Dr. Miyazaki burst into the emergency command center established in the Rocky Mountain complex, her eyes wide with excitement. "Commander, you need to see this," she said, projecting data onto the main screen. The Krell-Vor ships weren't just affected by our microbiome. They were transformed by it. The biological components of their technology have begun adapting to Earth's environment, creating entirely new hybridized systems. Elena studied the complex diagrams with a frown. "What does this mean in practical terms, Doctor?" "It means we can reverse engineer their technology," Miyazaki explained. "Not just copy it, but improve it. The biological components are evolving to work with Earth's ecosystem rather than against it. We're looking at potential advancements that would have taken us centuries to develop on our own." This revelation changed everything. Within weeks, research teams around the world were harvesting alien debris, studying the rapidly evolving biotechnology. Engineers who had never imagined working with semi-organic systems were developing new theoretical frameworks overnight. The desperate defense of Earth had transformed into an unprecedented technological revolution. 6 months after the invasion, the first human vessel incorporating Krell-Vor biotechnology launched from the rebuilt Aegis station. The UEA's Phoenix, commanded by Elena Reyes, represented a perfect synthesis of human ingenuity and alien advancement. Its hull, partially composed of living material that could self-repair, housed engines capable of manipulating space-time in ways humanity had only theorized before the invasion. "Neural interface online," Elena reported as she connected with the ship's semi-organic systems. The sensation was unlike anything she had experienced, not merely controlling a machine, but joining with a living entity that responded to her thoughts with an intuitive grace. "All systems nominal," Lieutenant Jackson confirmed from his station. "We're ready for our first hyperspace jump." The Phoenix's maiden voyage was intended as a test run to Mars. Instead, it intercepted a startling discovery: a damaged alien vessel of unknown design, drifting at the edge of the solar system. "Not Krell-Vor," Dr. Abrams confirmed, studying the sensor readings. "Completely different configuration, and there are life signs aboard." The decision to attempt first contact was unanimous. Using the Phoenix's advanced systems, they established communication with the alien vessel and discovered its occupants were refugees, the Teluri, a species whose homeworld had also fallen to Krell-Vor invasion. They had been fleeing for years, one step ahead of the conquering armada. "You survived them?" the Teluri ambassador asked, multifaceted eyes blinking in disbelief when they explained Earth's situation. "No species has ever repelled a full Krell-Vor assault." "We got lucky," Elena admitted. "Our environment was toxic to their biotechnology." "Not luck," the ambassador corrected. "Uniqueness. Your world has what many others do not: a complex, diverse biosphere that evolved in isolation. The Krell-Vor target worlds that share compatible biology with their own. Your Earth was supposed to be an easy conquest." This revelation cast humanity's victory in a new light. Earth's isolation, once considered a disadvantage in galactic terms, had become its greatest strength. The very characteristics that made humans adaptable, their ability to survive in varied environments, their resilience against disease, their biological diversity, had proven devastating to an enemy that relied on biological uniformity. When the Phoenix returned to Earth with the Telluri refugees, it brought more than just alien visitors. It carried knowledge of a galaxy in conflict, of dozens of species suffering under Krellvor dominion, and of resistance movements desperate for any advantage against their oppressors. 1 year after the invasion, Earth had been transformed. Cities were being rebuilt with integrated biotechnology, healing like living organisms. The Global Defense Force had incorporated Krellvor advancements into a fleet of vessels that combined the best of both worlds. And humanity had emerged onto the galactic stage, not as conquerors, but as liberators. The Krellvor have conquered 17 systems in this sector alone. Admiral Rice, newly promoted, explained to the United Earth Council. On the holographic display, star systems glowed red under alien occupation. According to our Telluri allies, they've established biological processing centers on each world, transforming the native ecosystems to match their own requirements. And our countermeasure? The council president asked. Elena nodded to Dr. Miyazaki, who stepped forward. We've weaponized Earth's microbiome into what we're calling the Gaia Protocol. Delivery systems can be adapted to each target world's environment, triggering the same cascade failures we saw during the invasion of Earth. The Krellvor have no defense against it. The implications were staggering. Earth, barely recovered from its own devastation, was positioned to become the center of a galactic liberation movement. We should proceed with caution, Elena advised. The Krellvor will be expecting us now. They'll have adapted their strategies, possibly even their biology. But they can't adapt to everything, Dr. Abrams countered. That's the beauty of Earth's biodiversity. It's too complex, too varied for them to develop comprehensive resistance. The decision was made. Earth would not wait for another invasion. Humanity would take the fight to the Krellvor, world by world, system by system, not for conquest, but for liberation. The first target was Proxima Centauri, where a small Krellvor outpost monitored the approaches to Sol. The fleet that arrived there, 12 ships incorporating Earth's biotechnology, commanded by Admiral Rice, encountered minimal resistance. The Gaia Protocol deployed, the Krellvor systems failed, and the outpost fell within hours. Word spread quickly through subspace communications. The undefeatable Krellvor had not only been repelled, but were now being actively hunted. Resistance movements on occupied worlds, hearing of Earth's success, launched coordinated uprisings. Species that had hidden from the Krellvor for generations emerged to join the growing alliance. 3 years after the invasion of Earth, the Krellvor Empire was in full retreat. Their biological vulnerability, once discovered, proved impossible to overcome. Each defeat exposed more of their technology to Earth's influence, accelerating the development of countermeasures. Admiral Rice stood on the bridge of the UES Defiance, flagship of humanity's fleet, as they approached the Krellvor homeworld. The final battle would not be fought with destructive weapons, but with carefully tailored microbes designed to force the Krellvor to adapt or perish. We could annihilate them, her first officer pointed out, after what they did to Earth, to countless worlds. Elena shook her head. That's not who we are. We fight for survival, not extinction. The Gaia Protocol deployed to the Krellvor homeworld was modified, designed not to destroy but to transform, to create a new equilibrium where the conquerors would be forced to exist in harmony with other species or face biological collapse. As the Defiance departed the Krellvor system, leaving behind monitoring stations to ensure compliance, Elena gazed out at the stars. Humanity had emerged from isolation into a galaxy of wonders and terrors. They had survived not through overwhelming force, but through the unique characteristics of their world and species, adaptability, resilience, and a fundamental connection to the complex web of life that had evolved alongside them. Earth was no longer alone, and humanity had proven itself not just worthy of survival, but capable of changing the very course of galactic history, not through conquest, but through an unexpected harmony with the living universe itself. In the endless stars before her, Elena saw not battlefields but possibilities. Humanity's greatest journey was just beginning.